Welcome, everyone. You're listening to the ImPerfect Podcast. I'm Kathy.
And I'm Kennedy. Join us on this week's episode as we discuss intriguing topics and people of interest that will inspire us to explore all of the unique pieces of ourselves.
We are all imperfectly perfect.
We're glad you're here. Hello, and welcome back to the next episode of the ImPerfect Podcast. Today, we will be talking with boldness coach Sita McKee. Sita came across our podcast and reached out expressing interest in our show and in being interviewed from her location across the pond in the UK.
Inspired by her late father, who understood the importance of holistic wellness and was very compassionate in helping anyone who was struggling with their health, Sita began working in the health and social care sectors. She now holds a Bachelor of Science in Mental Health Nursing, and it's complemented with other studies in psychology and neuroscience of mental health. Sita's passion is in helping people on their wellness journey. Her own struggles with burnout led her to develop her Your Valued Workplace Mental Wellness program, where she teaches and assists others to move from burnout to boldness using 5 easy steps. She supports her clients through this process with coaching, helping them feel confident, more in control, and developing a more positive outlook on life.
Let's get started so we can hear more about Sita's story. Hi, Sita. How are you?
Hi, Kennedy. Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Nice to meet you in sort of person, I guess virtually, but you're living in the UK, correct?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing what the internet or having meetings virtually can be now, like being able to have this conversation with you whilst you're in Canada. So that's really fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. Thank you for reaching out. And yeah, part of the struggles is Mom and I always trying to figure out the time differences and if we have it correct, because there was one time we got it wrong and we were an hour off, and thankfully it was a family member, but it's always a struggle to try to figure out, okay, it's 11 o'clock your time, it's 3 o'clock my time or whatever. So we appreciate you reaching out and meeting with us today. So why don't you start off with what is your story? Who is Sita? And what are your interests? Just a little bit on you.
Well, I was going to say, do you have all day to talk about who Sita is? But I'll just keep it very, very simple. So Sita is a very simple lady, I should say. I value people a lot, and I guess that's how I've come up with the name You Are Valued for my business, you know. Mm-hmm. And I also value a lot people's mental wellness. For me, that's a very important thing. And even though I know we talk about it a lot nowadays, I feel like it's not enough. We could do more. Mm-hmm. Because once we've got it right mentally, everything seems to follow as well. So yeah, basically that's me. I'm Sita McKee. I have worked in health and social care for a long time now, and I feel like it's part and parcel of me, you know, and I can't see myself doing anything else apart from being in a caring or helping profession and making sure that, you know, I contribute my God-given talent, if you like, to serve humanity. And basically that's what I hope to achieve with You're Valued.
So how long have you been in business, and do you find that you're connecting with people like clients virtually more, or do you find it tends to be more in person?
So actually You're Valued was born as an idea early 2022, you know, after 2 years of searching my soul, really finding out what I could do to bring something to the world, if you like, to support other people. So my day-to-day job is being a nurse, and I'm really lucky enough to be in a job where I recruit international nurses and train them, you know, support them to work as mental health nurses in the UK. So that's a fantastic job. Aside that is You're Valued, which, as I said, was born 2022, last year. And we launched December last year, because I set myself a goal. I like to set goals and make sure that I achieve them. And this year is building that brand, going out there and also seeing clients or talking to clients. And I've had a few, like speaking to them and trying to support them on that wellness journey from burnout to boldness. Yeah. So you can say it's a new business, but I think with social media now, we feel like we're going quite strong and reaching out to lots of people for people to be aware of who we are and what we intend to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And even just in a year with our podcast, because we started it was October, Mom, or end of September last year?
It was October.
Yeah. And the growth that you have just in 1 year, like you said, technology and social media really has a way of, I don't know, speeding up the process, I guess is the best way to say it.
It does.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. So did you want to maybe talk about what it is that you help your clients with? I believe you mentioned on your website, and we said in the intro that there's like a 5-step approach that you take. Maybe you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So basically, because I've experienced burnout myself, when I'm talking about this, I like to use myself as an example.
Right.
So for me, burnout was actually me identifying that I wasn't being myself at work. I usually would go to work really excited, can't wait to take on the new day's challenge and all that. And there was a time in my life where I felt that I was losing that and I was becoming quite anxious, and as soon as my alarm goes off in the morning, I'm quite nervous and very worried about what is to come, And it wasn't until a family member pointed it out to me, my son in this case, pointed it out to me saying, "Mom, you're not happy." And I was like, even he can see that. But I was trying to mask it, because sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves. And I wanted to prove that I've got this high-end job and I can really do it. And quitting wasn't an option because then I'll be seen as a failure. And I didn't want to show that weakness to my children, But after he pointed it out, I was like, I'm just not being authentic enough. I'm preaching, I'm teaching people how to move away from burnout and be well. And I'm masking it to try to prove what,
Right.
So
you're the perfect guest. You are the epitome of what our show is actually about.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
Peeling away the layers and let's stop pretending. We've all been pretending for so long. And there's such freedom that comes. And like you just reinforced, if you spend your life being somebody you're not, or the image or whatever, then you can set yourself up for some downfalls in other areas.
You are so right in saying that, and the freedom that came with, being more open and honest and accepting that I am actually struggling, and starting to look back at how I teach my clients or patients to move away from difficult situations in their life into a place of wellness. I'm like, I can apply this. Why am I teaching people and not applying it in my own personal life? So I started picking up on that. So one of my steps is like connecting with people. So I started connecting more with family and actually speaking up, and saying that there is so much pressure in this job and I feel like I'm losing myself. So you've got to find that special person you feel confident and safe to be able to speak to. And that's the other thing that we offer in You're Valued in my boldness coaching, a trustworthy, safe environment where people feel able to talk to someone, someone who won't judge them. I've walked that walk, so I know how important it is to not judge somebody when they are their lowest, and confiding in you and seeking that sort of direction or validation to be able to move on and get to a point where they want to be, their wellness point,
Right.
And the other step I would use is practicing mindfulness or meditation. I find that I was teaching that again, educating my my patients, clients to say, do a lot of meditation, retrieving our, as much as it's important to connect with people and socialize, I find that it's also important to retrieve and connect with your inner being. So if you believe in faith or have a faith, in my case, I'm a Christian. So connecting more with God in my meditation, like meditating on the scriptures and finding that strength through the word of God, and that was very powerful for me. Because when you connect with people, and my nature is such that I want to help people all the time. Right. So you're giving and giving, and then you get to a point where your cup is empty, So
I completely relate. I spent most of my life not knowing who I was because of, other areas of my life where I had put so much more that you kind of lose yourself in that.
Yeah. And it's easily done. It's easily done. We don't realize we're doing because it becomes a habit, and you can't see yourself doing something different because, as I said, I'm so passionate about caring and supporting people. So it's like very second nature to me. And I don't realize how much I'm giving until you don't have it anymore.
Until it's gone.
Yeah. And you don't want to get to that point. That's the point where we get to, and it's really hard to start pulling yourself out of it. So the whole idea about your value, this early intervention, get in there before you get to that point where you have nothing else to give, because then your recovery takes longer, Yeah. So meditation, I find really powerful, and also mindfulness. I encourage my clients, those I coach, to say, those who love sort of like forest bathing or listening to music, just spending time to get to know my clients, and then empowering them to do more of what they love, because it's one size doesn't fit all. So I may like meditating on scriptures, which works for me. It doesn't work for everyone, so it's being open, flexible, and supporting people on their wellness journey the way they see it and not the way I see fit,
And even that must be a process for you as a coach, because I'm just being an individual. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but discovering who you are on your own is hard enough, let alone trying to figure that out with a coach, I'm sure, because trying to figure out, like you said, you go to scripture for yourself, but for some people that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would know what works for me. You know what I mean? Some people it is music, but trying to find those outlets to be more mindful and be more in tune with your own self, that must be difficult to figure out even what that is to start with. Yeah.
So Kennedy, that's why the coaching is so important. So my skills then helps you figure that out. You see? So it's not something that we can figure out in one session. It takes time. That is if the person doesn't know who they are as a person. And I usually say this to my clients: there's no point in racing the support I'm giving or how we're working together to try and get to that wellness place if you don't know who you are. Because self-awareness is so important. I've spent years to try and work out who I am. So knowing who I am now, if someone is trying to push my button, I know it will not work. It would only work if I want it to work, because I know who I am, So it's having that control back and giving my clients that confidence as well. Until you know yourself, you can't move away from that place of burnout to the place of boldness I'm talking about. And believe you me, when you get to that place of boldness, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because, as I said, I have done that journey. So I can relate. And when clients have reached that point, I mean, the testimonial is just amazing, because it might seem so easy and simple, but when you're struggling, the mind refuses to see the way forward.
That's
it blocks it out.
Yes.
I love this conversation. I just love it. It's the togetherness of the past number of years of my life as well. Just finding out who you are and what you stand for, and what you said about the triggers. I mean, I got to it in a different path, but same for me. Once you know who you are and what is going to trigger you, and you can not today.
Yeah.
Not today. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
when you know where the spots are, right, you
yeah,
better protect yourself from,
yeah,
energy vampires and things that
yeah,
are coming at you left and right.
yeah.
I
But
think
sorry, you go ahead, Kennedy.
No, I was just going to say, I think what you're doing is really amazing because if anyone was honest with themselves, I think anyone could benefit from this type of coaching because I feel like the majority of our society is walking around with a figurative blindfold on, just pretending like nothing's actually happening and just going through the
Yeah,
motions versus sitting with themselves and
yeah,
going, okay, I'm really not okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm being brutally honest, as I said to you earlier, before we got deep into this conversation, I had COVID last week
Mm,
or the week before and was recovering last week. And I thought that, COVID has come now. It seems like it's come to stay. So we just live with it and
right.
just get on with it. But I realized that from the exhaustion I was feeling from going through that COVID, I almost felt like I couldn't pick myself up because I was tired, So
Yeah.
being tired, you can't help but feel negative at that point as well, because your body is so exhausted that you're feeling all these symptoms, and it's really hard to see the way out, or not the way out, to be positive at that time when your system is so down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to get at?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't get out of your own way, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was at that point I was saying to myself, I'm a boldness coach. I'm preaching positivity, but today I actually feel low. So it's okay to feel low as well, but to also identify.
Right.
So I remember my daughter was talking to me and I wasn't responding in my usual bubbly way. And she said, no, I said to her, just give me some time. I'm trying to pick myself up because I'm quite low. And she said, I actually noticed that you're quite low. And she said, it's the COVID, isn't it? And I said, yeah. So she worked it out as well. And I was like, I will get better. I just need the symptoms to stop and then feel like I can be able to carry on and be
Right.
myself again. And then I did that and I was like, wow, there's so much power in knowing yourself and knowing that I am not feeling myself today. And it's okay to accept that and let yourself recover, but sometimes we don't give ourselves that break because we think that we need to be operating at that 100 miles an hour all the time because that's the image we've told the world or portrayed to the world that we are. So again, it's about being authentic, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't relate to that at all.
So what keeps you going? Like, you're busy at your normal job, you're doing this on the side, you're go, go, go. You've mentioned children. So what is it that you're doing for yourself that keeps you going?
To be honest, as I said to you, I love meditating a lot. So this morning I've spent half an hour already meditating on scriptures and trying to, and that's what I've noticed that boosts my energy. So when I wake up and say you've had a dream at night and you don't like that dream, or it's like a little bit unsettling, and then I go into my scriptures and start reading and looking for affirmations and stuff to empower me for the day, that brings me alive. And after that 30 minutes meditation time, I'm able to pick myself up and I know what I've got planned for the day. Because again, being a Christian, I've said to God, let my day be successful, please. Just all the challenges that come my way, give me that wisdom to be able to tackle those challenges and learn from them. And therefore, when challenges are coming, and I would say before I knew who I am now, I felt like I always had to do things according to how people expect it to be done. But now I know that it's okay to take my time.
Yeah.
So if somebody asks me a question and I don't feel like I know the answer, it's okay for me now to say, you know what, give me a day or two, I'll come back to you. But before, I didn't think that was acceptable because somebody's asking and therefore you need to give them that moment, But now I give myself that space and time to give the right response and not feel under pressure to do things like that. And again, I encourage my clients, those that it will work for, it wouldn't work for everyone. As I said, we're all different people, but it's about knowing who you are and what works well for you, and hence having that boldness coach on your side to do that journey with,
That's huge. Do you have any personal regrets or failures in your life, your business that you just started, anything personal? We like to talk about this sometimes just because
It's important.
some people feel like they don't regret anything, which was surprising to Mom and I, because we're sitting here going, okay, I regret this and that and this and this. And people are so different in that way. Some people just go, everything's supposed to happen for a reason. And some people really wish they would have maybe started something sooner or whatever. But yeah, just we're interested to know if you have any regrets or failures.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked me this, Kristen, because my sister and I were discussing that yesterday, actually.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, we were talking about like what's our greatest achievements, what's our greatest regrets and all that. And I'm of the view at this moment now, perhaps if you had asked me this question 3 years ago, I would have said something. But as you're asking me today, I would say, Kennedy, no regrets.
That's
Why?
huge.
Because, why? Because I feel like everything I've been through in my life is what has brought me here now, and brought me on this journey of you are valued, to be able to empower people. So I'm able to tap into my weaknesses to also address other people's pain, So the whole idea of being a boldness coach is finding solutions to people's pain, rendering a service that way. So if I'm rendering a service to humanity, I've got to accept that I'm human myself. Therefore, I'm vulnerable to making mistakes. I don't always get it right.
And it adds value to your business as well. The fact that you've been through things.
Yeah, that's really the key that I personally am finding is, it's great for you to go to school and learn all this stuff and stand on a platform and speak it. But unless you have had the experience of actually living that life, walking in those shoes, then it's not that you're ineffective, but you can relate on a different level and problem solve on a different level.
Yes. So because of that mentality or that mindset I have now, I don't think I want to regret anything. And if I have done something wrong in my past, I have asked for forgiveness, and I believe in the saving grace of Jesus Christ. So I want to move away from that to bring me down and start, feeling low in it, because the more we regret stuff and the more we drag ourselves down, the more negative we become.
Right.
So if I believe in the power of Jesus Christ saving me, then I just want to be positive, because he's done that big bit already. So what am I worried about? I just move on and hope that I don't repeat those mistakes. And whatever lessons came out of those mistakes, I'm going to use that to empower others that I get to serve. I have the opportunity opportunity to serve.
Yeah. And I keep thinking back to on a previous episode that Mom and I did. I brought it up to her, actually. It's a song called Dear Younger Me by Mercy Me. And it's a really great song, and it very clearly depicts the conversation we're having right now, which is that if I could go back and tell myself all the things I've learned so far so that I could avoid all of the trips and falls and mishaps, would I do that? And the ultimate answer is no, because we're all supposed to end up where we're supposed to end up, and it's for good reason.
Yeah. So right. So right. And as I said, years ago, I would have given you a different answer because I didn't know better. But now, knowing what I know now, I know everything has happened for a reason, and it strengthened me, So, and the way I see challenges in life is I see the opportunities in those challenges, and that makes me able to, enables me to be able to address those challenges, But if we fail to see opportunities, even in my COVID time, I was looking for the opportunity in being poorly. I was like, maybe there's a saying to me, rest, because I've just been like just going, working full time, working on your value, then not resting. So it's like, this is the time that I need to rest and think about new ideas as well, So
And you were still being productive in that sense, in my eyes, because you need to have that rest and to be able to sit down and have those thoughts that maybe you wouldn't have been able to have if you were go. It's beneficial either way.
Yeah, that's very true.
So what's the most important thing that you've learned in life? Would it be what you just spoke about or something different?
Most important thing I have learned in life. It might sound like a cliche.
That's okay.
I think it's really powerful to me anyway, is loving my neighbor as myself,
Mm.
you know, and trying to understand what that actually means, you know, because I have been battling with this idea for some time, like what is enough when you give and what is not enough? Because I want to do right by loving my neighbor, but is it to a point where I lose myself and I struggle?
Right.
Because the scriptures does say, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah.
So if I'm taking a word for word, it's not more than myself. So what can I give and not feel like I'm running on empty myself, you know? And it's hard to find that balance, especially when you're being kind to people. And for me, kindness is a massive thing. It's one of the values of You Are Valued. Being kind to people and giving so much, but then you've got other groups of people who are happy to keep taking, you know, and would not think about how much you are giving.
Yes.
But as long as you're giving, they will keep taking.
Yes.
So do I allow myself to get to that point where, because the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself, I keep giving and giving and giving until I have nothing else left to you know, survive or live on myself? Or am I supposed to be more wise in how I do it, give, and also be able to identify those who are there to just suck it all out of you and say, I have given, I have shown love, but I also need some to survive.
And it's good that you also...
Yeah, that's one of the greatest things.
Yeah, it's good that and it kind of ties into the self-awareness that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
To be self-aware enough to be able to know when, okay, you've kind of hit your limit, because what also tends to happen in life is, I call them people pleasers, tend to end up with energy vampires, as Mom mentioned, or people who like to just take and take and take, and you are a giver and you want to see the best in people. So that can be hard to identify sometimes, even when you're in the midst of it. But that self-awareness, it's good that you also teach that, because it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
So just as one last question before we give you the opportunity to tell people where they can find you, we ask this to everyone. What makes you imperfect?
What makes me imperfect? Well, I'm human, so of course I am imperfect.
Yeah.
The answer.
Yeah. So I guess the fact that I know I'm human, I accept that I will never get it right all the time, you know. And as I said, we are different human beings. So what I might do that might work for A will not work for B.
Right.
So in B's eye, B might see me as imperfect because I'm preaching about, you know, moving people from burnout to boldness. And yet I've not been able to help B move from burnout to boldness. Do you see what I mean? So in B's eye, I might be imperfect, and I might see myself and have doubts that why is it not working with this client? But it's about identifying that I'm human and not having got the answers to everything. You know, even with our famous products in the world that we are blessed with clever people in the world, intelligent people to come up with all these Apple products and all that. I don't think it's all perfect. Everything has some fault with it, you know, and that's what makes us human. So yeah, my imperfection might be that I don't have the answers to everything, all the questions, you know, so I will try my best.
Of course.
But I won't have the answers to everything. But I know that despite not having the answers, I am very committed to helping, and we can work through it if we work together, you know, with whoever I'm working with. Yeah.
That's very insightful. Yeah. Did you want to maybe share where people can find you, where your website is, anything of the sort, so that if they're interested in finding out more about your coaching services or things like that?
So people People can find me on LinkedIn as Sita McKee, and on Instagram as well, Sita McKee.
Okay.
They can find me on TikTok as You're Valued, and on Facebook as well as You're Valued. And I've got my website as yourvalued.co.uk/discovery. People can book for, a free consultation with me and see if we are compatible to work together, because it's really important to know that you connect well with the coach that is supposed to help you from that place of burnout to boldness. Yeah.
Right. And I'll link all of that in the show notes so that people can easily click and go and take a look at your different things. But thank you so much for today. We will have a little chat after this, if that's okay. But thank you so much for, first of all, reaching out to us. It's always great to get someone reaching out and wanting to take part. And I loved today's conversation, and it's very relevant. Yeah, it's very relatable, and it's relevant in my life right now. So it felt good to talk a bit about it. And I think you're doing great things, because there's a lot of coaches out there, but I think what you're doing is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not fine-tuned, but it's a specific niche. Yeah, a specific area that, like you said, we all talk about mental health, but I don't think we're actually talking enough about it. And that is so very true. We're all like saying, oh, I'm working on my mental health, but I don't think we actually know what is required of that. So I think what you're doing is awesome.
To mental health when you're still wearing the mask too. That needs to be said, I think. So anyway, I love what you're doing.
Yeah. So
thank you so much, Kennedy and Kathy. Thank you for the opportunity and giving me this platform to, raise more awareness on mental wellness. So it's really close to my heart. I'm very passionate about it. And I look forward to more conversations in future. I mean, if you will have me, because I've really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you or someone you know has a unique story to tell, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at theimperfectpodcast@outlook.com.
For more information and how to connect with us on social media, you can visit us at our website, theimperfectpodcast.ca.
And from whichever platform you are listening to this episode, be sure to like, share, and leave us a review. We would really appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode.
We look forward to hearing your feedback and seeing you all find that extra joy and embrace your own imperfect.
See you next week.